Imagine walking across solid ground you have crossed 1,000 times before. Ground that held your house, your street, your entire life. And then, without warning, the earth simply opens. Not cracks, not shifts. Opens. Swallowing everything above it into a darkness so deep that a skyscraper could vanish inside without ever touching the bottom. This is not a nightmare. It happens on our planet, again and again, in places you would never expect. Beneath our feet, hidden under farms and forests and cities, the earth is hollow in ways most of us never think about. Vast chambers carved out over hundreds of thousands of years by nothing more than water, patiently dissolving stone. And when the roof of one of these chambers finally gives way, it creates one of the most awe-inspiring and terrifying features on Earth. The sinkhole. Some are big enough to swallow entire buildings. Some are so deep that clouds form inside them. Some hide secret forests that no sunlight has ever fully touched. Home to creatures found nowhere else on the planet. Today we are going to descend into the deepest, strangest, and most beautiful holes on Earth. And what we find at the bottom of some of them will change the way you look at the ground beneath your feet forever. Before we begin our descent, you need to understand how these monsters are born. Because a sinkhole is not simply a hole. It is the visible ending of a story that has been unfolding, invisibly, for tens of thousands of years. It begins with rock, specifically soluble rock like limestone, gypsum, or salt. These stones share a fatal weakness. Water can dissolve them. Rain falling from the sky absorbs carbon dioxide and becomes very slightly acidic. And as this mildly acidic water seeps down through cracks in the bedrock, it begins, molecule by molecule, to eat the stone away. Over unimaginable spans of time, this creates hidden voids underground. Caves, chambers, entire cathedrals of empty space, carved out beneath a surface that looks perfectly ordinary. For a while, the roof of solid rock holds. Grass grows over it, trees take root. People build homes and roads, never suspecting the emptiness waiting below. But the water never stops. The chamber grows. And eventually, the ceiling can no longer support the weight pressing down on it. In a single catastrophic moment, or sometimes in a slow, groaning collapse, the roof falls in, and the surface world tumbles into the void that was always waiting. This type of terrain has a name: karst. And wherever you find karst landscapes, you find the potential for the ground itself to disappear. We begin with the undisputed king, the deepest sinkhole on Earth. In the Fengji region of China lies a chasm so vast that the local people gave it a name worthy of its scale. XIAOZHAI TIANKENG, the heavenly pit. The numbers alone are difficult to comprehend. This sinkhole plunges as deep as 662 meters into the earth. More than 2,100 feet, with sheer, near-vertical walls dropping away on every side. It is more than twice as deep as the Eiffel Tower is tall. Descending from the rim to the floor and climbing back out can take the better part of a day. And the structure is doubly nested, essentially two colossal bowls stacked one inside the other. During the rainy season, a waterfall spills over the lip and cascades down into the abyss. But its size is not even the most astonishing thing about it. For centuries, hidden at the bottom of this pit, an entire ecosystem has been quietly thriving. It was brought to international attention when British explorers documented it in 1994. Down in its depths, sheltered within its own humid microclimate, scientists have cataloged well over 1,000 species of plants, including ancient ginkgo trees. And moving through this hidden green world are rare animals, reportedly including the clouded leopard, one of the rarest big cats on Earth. Along with giant salamanders and countless bats, it is, in the truest sense, a lost world. A a secret forest at the bottom of the deepest hole on the planet. You might assume that in the modern age we have found all the great sinkholes there are. You would be wrong. In 2022, in the LEYE area of the Guangxi region of southern China, a team of scientists and cave explorers stood at the edge of a giant hole and peered down into something extraordinary. This newly explored TIANKENG was large enough to hold an entire ancient forest at its base. As the team descended, rappelling down into the shadowed depths of a pit nearly 200 meters deep, they found trees reaching dozens of meters toward the distant circle of sky. Their trunks stretching upward in a desperate hunt for light. Beneath them lay undergrowth so thick in places that an explorer could push through it shoulder high. The researchers suspected that some of the species living in that shadowed world might be entirely new to science. This is what makes sinkholes so profoundly different from other natural wonders. A mountain is visible from 100 miles away. But these forests are hidden, sunk into the earth, sealed off by walls of vertical stone. They become natural time capsules, arcs of biodiversity, where isolated populations evolve down their own private paths. Every deep sinkhole is a door into a potential lost world, and we are still, even now, only beginning to open them. Now we travel to one of the most remote corners of South America. In Venezuela, rising from the jungle, stand ancient flat-topped mountains called tepuis. And on the summit of one of them, Sarisariñama, the earth opens into a series of nearly perfect circular pits that have baffled scientists for decades. The largest of these is called SIMA Humboldt. SIMA Humboldt plunges over 300 meters down, more than 1,000 feet. But what makes it so extraordinary is what lies at the bottom. A forest, a pristine, isolated jungle sealed at the base of the pit. Cut off from the surrounding world for so long that it has become an evolutionary island in the sky. Because these pits sit atop an isolated mountain, and because their floors are walled off by sheer cliffs, the life growing down there has been evolving in near total isolation for an almost unimaginable length of time. Scientists who have descended into these chasms describe finding species that exist nowhere else on Earth. Nearby lies its sibling, SIMA Martel, another vast pit named after the pioneering French cave explorer Edouard Alfred Martel. Getting to either is a monumental challenge. The tepuy itself is remote and difficult to reach. And the pits remain largely unexplored to this day. They are among the closest things our real world has to the fictional lost worlds of adventure novels. Some sinkholes hide forests. This one hides a spectacle unlike anything else on Earth. In the San Luis Potosi region of Mexico lies the Sótano de las Golondrinas, the Cave of Swallows. A vertical pit so deep that it is one of the most famous natural shafts in the entire world. From the highest edge of its opening, the drop to the floor is a sheer, uninterrupted freefall of around 370 meters, over 1,200 feet. If you dropped a stone from the lip, it would fall for several seconds before striking the bottom, far enough that entire skyscrapers could fit inside with room to spare. This staggering vertical drop has made it a legendary destination for extreme adventurers who rappel down into the void on ropes or leap from the edge as base jumpers, plummeting into the darkness before their parachutes bloom open in the abyss. But the true magic happens at dawn and dusk. The pit is home to vast colonies of birds, swifts, and green parakeets that nest in the walls far below. Each morning, tens of thousands of them spiral upward out of the hole in a great living tornado of wings, circling round and round the shaft to gain the height they need to escape. And each evening, they return in breathtaking fashion, folding their wings and diving straight down into the pit at tremendous speed, dropping like feathered stones into the darkness of their home. So far, we have descended into dry chasms, but some of the most haunting sinkholes on Earth are filled with water. In northeastern Mexico lies El ZACATÓN, the deepest known water-filled sinkhole in the world. From the surface, it appears as a strange circular pool. Its its most curious feature being the free-floating islands of grass that drift slowly across its surface, giving the sinkhole its name. But beneath that surface, the water plunges down more than 300 meters, over 1,000 feet, into warm, mineral-rich depths that carry the faint smell of sulfur. For a long time, locals believed it was simply bottomless. The mystery was so compelling that it drew the attention of NASA. In order to test robotic exploration technology that might one day search for life in the oceans of distant moons, NASA sent an autonomous underwater robot down into ZACATÓN. Descending alone into that black, drowned shaft, the robot finally mapped the true depth of the pit and confirmed what human divers could never safely reach. Tragically, the site has also claimed lives, a reminder that these beautiful drowned worlds are also profoundly dangerous. When a sinkhole forms not on land but beneath the sea, it becomes a blue hole. And none is more famous than the Great Blue Hole off the coast of Belize. From the air, it is almost hypnotically perfect. A near-flawless circle of deep navy blue set into the bright turquoise of the surrounding reef. Over 300 meters across and around 124 meters deep. It was formed during the ice ages, when sea levels were far lower, and this was a dry limestone cave on land. As the great glaciers melted and the oceans rose, the sea flooded in and drowned the cavern, leaving behind the vast circular shaft we see today. The famous ocean explorer Jacques Cousteau brought this wonder to the world's attention decades ago, declaring it one of the finest dive sites on the planet. Divers who descend into it pass through crystal clear water before reaching, at depth, enormous stalactites, ancient rock formations that could only have formed when this cave was dry and open to the air. Now hanging silently underwater as ghostly proof of the world that existed here before the sea returned. Deeper still, a layer of hydrogen sulfide creates a strange, hazy boundary, and below it, the water becomes dark and lifeless. But in the sunlit upper reaches, reef sharks glide in slow circles. The Great Blue Hole may be the most famous, but it is far from the deepest. That title belongs to a mysterious pit hidden in the South China Sea near the Paracel Islands. It is called the Dragon Hole, and it drops to a staggering depth of around 300 meters, far deeper than any other known blue hole on the planet. Local legends say this was where the Monkey King of ancient Chinese myth found his magical weapon. And old fishermen were said to speak of the hole with superstition, a dark eye in the sea whose bottom no one could see. When researchers finally sent an underwater robot down to explore it, they discovered a strange vertical world. In the upper reaches, sunlight supports abundant marine life. But as the robot descended, the oxygen vanished. Below a certain depth, the water becomes nearly devoid of oxygen, a dead zone where almost nothing can survive. This is one of the eeriest truths about the deepest blue holes. They are layered worlds teeming with life near the surface, but growing silent, dark, and lifeless as you sink. The very bottom of the dragon hole is an anoxic void, an environment more alien than the surface of some planets, hidden just beneath the waves of a busy sea. Not all water-filled sinkholes are in tropical seas. In Croatia, near the town of Imotski, lies one of the most dramatic sinkholes in all of Europe. It is called Red Lake, named not for the color of its water, but for the towering reddish-brown cliffs that surround it, stained by iron oxides in the stone. The scale is breathtaking. The total depth of this collapsed chasm, measured from the top of its cliffs down to the deepest point of the water below, is estimated at over 500 meters, more than 1,700 feet. The sheer rock walls plunge downward before meeting the surface of a deep, karst lake, which itself descends far below. It is a place of stark, almost violent beauty, a colossal wound in the landscape filled with cold, dark water. Local folklore is rich with tales of sunken villages and vengeful fairies. But the reality is no less astonishing than the myths. This is one of the largest sinkholes on the continent, connected through the region's karst plumbing to other bodies of water in ways still not fully understood. Nearby lies its sibling, Blue Lake, another sinkhole whose water level rises and falls dramatically with the seasons. Until now, we have explored ancient sinkholes in remote wildernesses. But there is another kind, the kind that opens suddenly in the middle of human civilization. In the town of Berezniki, in Russia, the ground has been betraying its residents for decades. Built atop old potash mines where water seeped into the excavated tunnels and dissolved the surrounding rock, the town has watched giant sinkholes tear open across the landscape. One of them, grimly nicknamed the Grandfather by locals, grew to enormous proportions, hundreds of meters across, and new ones have continued to appear over the years, swallowing ground near railways, factories, and homes. Residents live with the unsettling knowledge that the earth beneath their community is compromised, and that another collapse could come at any time. This is the darker side of the sinkhole story, and often humanity itself is the cause. When we mine the ground beneath us, when we pump out groundwater faster than nature can replace it, we can accelerate the collapse. The Berezniki sinkholes are a stark warning of what happens when industry hollows out the earth beneath a living city. Few sinkholes in history have shocked the world, quite like the one that opened in Guatemala City in 2010. In the middle of a densely populated urban neighborhood, the ground gave way and plunged straight down like an elevator shaft, swallowing a 3-story building whole. What made this collapse so unforgettable was its almost impossible geometry. The hole was a near-perfect circle, with smooth, vertical sides dropping cleanly into darkness, so precise and so deep that many who saw the photographs simply refused to believe it was real. It looked less like a natural disaster and more like something had been cored out of the city with a giant drill. The causes were a grim combination of geology and human activity. A landscape of loose volcanic material, heavy tropical rains, and leaking underground pipes that washed away the ground from below. A tropical storm had saturated the earth, and the hidden void beneath the streets finally gave way. It was a chilling reminder that the modern world, for all its concrete and steel, is not immune to the ancient forces working beneath our feet. Some sinkhole events are so bizarre they seem to defy nature itself. In 2012, near the community of BAYOU Corn in Louisiana, in the United States, residents began to notice strange things. The ground trembled. Mysterious bubbles rose up through the waters of the bayou. There was an unexplained rumbling deep beneath the earth. Then the ground gave way. The Bayou Corne sinkhole opened, caused by the collapse of an underground salt dome cavern that had been hollowed out below. But this was no ordinary hole. It grew and grew. Filling with water, oil, and debris, it eventually swallowed towering cypress trees whole. Dragging them beneath its churning surface in footage that looks almost supernatural. Entire full-grown trees being sucked down and vanishing. Residents were forced to evacuate their homes, many of them permanently, as the sinkhole continued to expand. The Bayou Corne disaster became one of the most studied sinkhole events in modern history, precisely because it was triggered by human industry drilling into a salt dome. It stands as a warning about the hidden risks buried beneath so much of our infrastructure. Let us return now to the natural wonders. In Texas, in the United States, lies the Devil's Sinkhole, a vertical shaft that drops down into a massive underground chamber. And this chamber is home to one of the most spectacular displays of wildlife anywhere on Earth. Around 3 million Mexican free-tailed bats roost inside the Devil's Sinkhole, and each evening at dusk, they emerge. Not in a trickle, but in a torrent, a living river of wings pouring up out of the hole and spiraling into the darkening sky in numbers so vast they can be detected on weather radar. The sound of millions of bats taking flight is a roar. They spread out across the landscape to hunt insects through the night, providing an invaluable service to the farms around them. Before returning to the safety of their pit at dawn. These deep, dark, protected shafts make ideal roosts, safe from predators and stable in temperature. And so many of the planet's deepest holes double as vast underground cathedrals of life. The hole that looks so lifeless from the rim is, in truth, one of the most densely populated places for miles. In Brazil lies a sinkhole that has become a sanctuary of vivid, riotous color. It is called the Buraco das ARARAS, the Hole of MACAWS, and it earns its name in the most beautiful way imaginable. This great circular pit, formed by the erosion of limestone, descends around 100 meters and holds a small lake and lush vegetation at its base. But its glory comes from the birds. The cliffs and skies of this sinkhole are home to flocks of brilliant red and blue scarlet macaws. Who nest in the walls of the pit and fill the air above it with flashes of color and raucous calls. Visitors who stand at the rim are treated to the sight of these magnificent parrots wheeling through the open bowl of the sinkhole. Their vivid plumage stark against the green vegetation, it is a perfect illustration of a truth that runs through this entire journey. A sinkhole is not merely a scar or a danger, it is a habitat, a shelter. Where we see a terrifying hole, the macaws see a home. Along the shores of the Dead Sea, in the Middle East, a strange and rapidly worsening phenomenon is unfolding. Thousands of sinkholes are appearing, and their story is a warning about how human activity can awaken the ground beneath us. The Dead Sea has been shrinking for decades, its water level dropping dramatically as the rivers that once fed it are diverted for human use. As the salty water retreats, it leaves behind underground layers of salt. Fresh groundwater then flows in and dissolves that salt, hollowing out cavities beneath the surface, and the ground above collapses into them. The result is an epidemic of sinkholes, thousands of them, pockmarking the shoreline where the sea has withdrawn. They have swallowed roads, collapsed beneath buildings, and forced the abandonment of once thriving beach resorts and date plantations. What makes this so haunting is the speed of it. These are not ancient formations that took 100,000 years to develop. They are appearing now, within a single human lifetime, as a direct consequence of how we have managed the water. The shore of the Dead Sea has become a living laboratory for how quickly a landscape can turn treacherous when the balance beneath it is disturbed. In 2022, in the Atacama region of Chile, near the ALCAPARROSA copper mine, the ground opened into a sinkhole so perfectly formed and so unnervingly deep that images of it spread around the world. It was relatively narrow, but it plunged down some 200 meters, deep enough to swallow a skyscraper, with sheer, smooth walls that seemed to lead straight to the center of the earth. What made this one so striking was its clean, almost artificial appearance. A nearly perfect circular shaft descending into blackness, ringed by ordinary desert ground. It appeared near an active mining operation, raising immediate questions about whether the extraction of water and minerals beneath the surface had triggered the collapse. Authorities scrambled to investigate, halting mining activity in the area and trying to determine whether the ground was safe. It stands as another example of the growing collision between human industry and the hidden fragility of the earth. As we dig deeper and pump harder in our search for resources, we increasingly risk waking these sleeping giants. In Mexico's Yucatan Peninsula, sinkholes are not feared. They are sacred. Here they are called cenotes, and there are thousands upon thousands of them. Natural pits where the limestone bedrock has collapsed to reveal the crystalline groundwater below. To the ancient Maya, these were nothing less than gateways to the underworld. The cenotes were the lifeblood of Maya civilization, providing fresh water in a land with almost no surface rivers, but they were also holy. The Maya believed these deep, still pools were entrances to Xibalba, the realm of the gods and the dead. And they made offerings at their edges, casting precious objects, and in some cases human sacrifices, into the sacred waters. Divers exploring these cenotes today have recovered ancient artifacts and bones from the depths, silent testimony to the rituals performed here over 1,000 years ago. Beyond their spiritual significance, the cenotes form one of the largest underwater cave systems on the planet. A vast, flooded labyrinth of tunnels connecting pool to pool beneath the jungle. Cave divers venture into this maze of drowned passages, gliding through crystal clear water past ancient rock formations in eerie, silent darkness. It is one of the most dangerous forms of exploration on Earth, and one of the most beautiful. Not all sinkholes are narrow shafts. Some are so vast they redefine the very meaning of the word. In the western desert of Egypt lies the QATTARA Depression, a feature so enormous that it is sometimes described as one of the largest sinkhole-like depressions on Earth, on a scale almost impossible to grasp. This is not a hole you fall into. It is a sunken region of desert covering thousands of square miles, a colossal depression in the landscape that drops well over 100 meters below sea level at its deepest points. It was carved out over vast stretches of time by a combination of erosion and salt weathering. The wind and the chemistry of the ground slowly excavating an entire section of the Sahara. The CATHEDRAL Depression is a place of treacherous salt marshes and quicksand, so forbidding that during the Second World War, military commanders considered it an impassable barrier, a natural wall that armies could not cross. It reminds us that the same forces that carve a narrow pit deep enough to hide a skyscraper can, given enough time, hollow out a piece of the planet large enough to swallow a small country. Scattered across the world are sinkholes that have filled with water to become lakes so deep and so clear they have earned reputations as bottomless. In New Mexico, in the United States, a series of these water-filled sinkholes are known, fittingly, as the bottomless lakes. Early cowboys who came upon them, unable to find the bottom with their weighted ropes, declared them to have no floor at all, and the legend stuck. In reality, they do have bottoms, though the water is so deep and so strikingly clear, tinted beautiful shades of blue and green by dissolved minerals, that the illusion of infinite depth is easy to understand. These lakes formed exactly as our journey has taught us, through the collapse of underground caverns, filling with groundwater to create pools of startling beauty in the arid landscape. Around the world, wherever karst terrain meets abundant groundwater, these jewel-like sinkhole lakes appear. Some host unique species of tiny creatures found nowhere else, isolated in their private pools for thousands of years. And all of them share that same haunting quality: water so deep and so clear that it seems to open a window into infinity. On Vancouver Island, in Canada, lies a cenote known as the Devil's Bath, one of the largest in the country. Connected by hidden underwater passages to a nearby river deep below the surface, its still, dark waters hold a strange and forbidding beauty that earned it its ominous name. Across the world, water-filled sinkholes have collected legends like these. There is a recurring theme in the folklore of nearly every culture that lives near these deep, dark pools. They are associated with the devil, with evil spirits, with the underworld. In Australia, some Indigenous traditions held that certain sinkholes were the homes of malevolent spirits and warned against approaching them. This is no coincidence. Ancient peoples, without the science to explain these bottomless pits, understood them through story, and the stories almost always carried a warning: stay away. This place is not for the living, and in a sense, those old warnings held real wisdom. These sinkholes are genuinely dangerous. Their depths are cold, dark, and disorienting. Their underwater cave systems have claimed the lives of experienced divers who became lost in the labyrinth, unable to find their way back to the light. In the Sultanate of Oman, along a rugged desert coastline, sits a sinkhole so beautiful that local legend claims it was formed by a falling star. It is called the BIMMAH sinkhole, a deep pool of impossibly clear turquoise and emerald water, sunk into the pale limestone just a short distance from the sea. Unlike the terrifying pits we have descended into, the BIMMAH sinkhole is a place of joy. Steps have been carved down to the water, and visitors swim in its cool, clear depths, small fish nibbling gently at their feet. The water is a mesmerizing blend of fresh water and seawater seeping in from the nearby coast, creating colors that seem almost too vivid to be real. Its Arabic name translates roughly to a reference to a falling star, a poetic nod to the mystery of how such a perfect pool came to be. It reminds us that sinkholes are not only monsters and warnings, they are also among the most beautiful natural features on the planet. Oases of cool water and vivid color in some of the harshest landscapes on Earth. The same geological process that swallows cities and drowns forests can also carve a jewel into the desert. As we climb back toward the surface after our long descent, it is worth pausing to consider what all of these places, from the heavenly pit of China to the falling star pool of Oman, are truly telling us. They are telling us that the ground is not what it seems. The solid, dependable earth we walk on every day is, in countless places, a thin crust stretched over hidden emptiness. Beneath farms and forests and cities, water is always at work, patiently, silently. Dissolving the stone, carving out the voids, preparing the collapses that may not come for another 1,000 years, or may come tomorrow. We build our lives on a surface we assume is permanent, and yet the sinkhole reveals how temporary and fragile that assumption really is. But these holes are more than a warning. They are windows. They are the only way we ever get to see the hidden architecture of our own planet. The vast underground rivers, the drowned caves, the lost forests sealed away from the sun.